Good evening. My name is Melissa Allain. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Eden area. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed and active participation in government and fights to make democracy work through education and advocacy. The League never supports or opposes candidates or political parties. It does make recommendations on ballot measures based on review and prior position. So let me just state the protocols for our forum tonight and welcome everyone. All candidates who have been officially certified with the Registrar of Voters will be invited. The format gives each of the candidates a chance to speak within the time limits, which will be fair to all candidates. And I would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and give thanks to the other League of Women Voters in the local areas who have helped with the materials and the format of our forum. The League of Women Voters is a trusted membership organization that encourages informed and active participation. And as I said, we don't endorse or oppose candidates or political parties. For decades, we have offered fair and balanced candidate forums. The League participates in advocacy and voter education, as I stated. I'd like to remind everyone that the candidates have all signed and agreed to participate under the ground rules that the League has for this forum. The League's very proud of our history of civil discourse and nonpartisan forums. This is an educational event, not a debate. Before we get started, there are some details to review that will help you interact with this session. The microphones are muted for everyone except the candidates and the moderator, myself. Video images will show the candidates and the moderator. Candidates will stay on screen for the entire forum and will mute until it is their turn to speak. The chat has been turned off for attendees. We are recording this forum and will be posting it via our websites and social media, such as YouTube, for the broader community to access later. We have one forum to present in this session. This will be for the position of the board of the Hayward Unified School District. There are 7 candidates running for this elected office. All candidates were invited to participate in this forum. Candidates who are not present were given the option to provide a statement to be read for the moderator after the candidates' closing statements. We will be handling questions for the candidates in the following manner. Questions for this forum have been solicited in advance from the community and from our local leagues. We have screened the questions to ensure that they are fair and unbiased and to avoid duplication and anything inappropriate. The order of answering the questions will alternate, and each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each question. The chat function for those of you in the audience will not be active, which is why we had solicited questions in advance. So with all of that, I will ask candidates now to give their opening statement, and we will start with Sophia Joregi. Oh, let me just state once before we start the timing that I forgot to mention that we do have interpreter features available in the Zoom webinar this evening. So if anyone in the audience who would like to see a written translation into Spanish, you have the ability to choose that function in the Zoom. So I'll give folks just a moment to do that. And also, I believe that our interpreter, Elizabeth, does not have the ability to come in. I'm sorry, I'm doing this for the first time myself on the interpretation function. So let me see if I all right. Well, let's get started. And if anyone has questions on this, you can let me know.
Are you waiting for me?
Yes, candidate Reagan.
Sorry, I wasn't sure.
No, I'm sorry. Yes, please go ahead and start.
And this is just our introduction, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
And the time has started. 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, my name is Sophia Jauregui. I'm a mother of 2 kids in the Hayward Unified School District. I'm an active parent in the district, and I'm a substitute teacher in the district and in San Lorenzo district. I've had a lot of experience inside and externally as a parent. Also, I participate and have been participating actively since 2016 on internal councils and advisory boards in Hayward Unified. I've participated in DAC, SSC, ELAC, DLAC, 711, which is our property. It's how we redistribute our property, and a few others. I'm happy to participate in that way. I've been active and I enjoy being a part of our community. I am a community member and active community member, and I love to volunteer in the community. I've been a part of Mothers Against Drunk Driving and stood side by side with police officers in public awareness. I have also been an MC for the Walk Like Mad event that took place at CSU East Bay. I am a Hayward made person. I have attended Chabot and I graduated from CSU East Bay. My whole household is Hayward made, and the Jauregui legacy is Hayward made since the early 1970s. So my husband he grew up in Hayward in all the schools in middle, high school, and elementary. And now my kids are continuing on in that legacy. And, I am excited to be a candidate for this race. I'm excited to be partnered with all these wonderful people who I think are amazing as well. And I look forward to it. I look forward to people finding out more about me. I'm also a justice studies major, and my platform is about justice in education. I don't see the time clock, so I'm not sure where I'm at.
Yeah, your time is now up. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. And then next we'll hear from candidate Bruckner Carrillo.
Good evening or good morning, good afternoon, depending on when you are watching this recording. I just want to thank the League for sponsoring today's candidate forum, for prioritizing the importance of democracy, the importance of civic engagement, and the importance of our local school board elections. Across this country, public education and local governance is under attack. We have candidates in this community running for multiple seats on multiple elected bodies simultaneously. I am proud to be running for one seat, and that's our school board, because I value public education, I value our students, I value our teachers, our parents, and our community. I'm proudly supported by our teachers union, our classified staff at AOD. I am so excited to be announcing another labor endorsement from one of our labor partners this coming week. and I'm proud to be the only candidate in this race to have unanimous support among every single Democratic club that has endorsed thus far. I chair the City of Hayward's Community Services Commission, which allocates over $2 million each year to vital safety net services for our most vulnerable kiddos and families. Folks that grow up in house homes like the one that I grew up in. The only folks that ever knocked on our door were police, and it was usually responding to a domestic violence call. For a brief period of time, I lived in a local shelter here in Hayward called FESCO. If you don't know what that is, I encourage you to look it up. It's amazing. But I know what it's like to struggle to learn when you face housing insecurity. 531 kids in our community do not have a place to sleep tonight. I want to empower our community school specialists to work with our teachers to help bridge the gap so that way kids will get all the support that they need to thrive in a 21st century classroom, that we are managing our budget in a responsible way, and that we are engaging our community, bringing in our nonprofit partners, bringing in the county to the discussion to help meet the needs of every student in our district. ABC, the number 4, HUSD.com.
Thank you. And next we have candidate Kelly.
I hope everyone is having a wonderful evening. My name is Kaylin Kelly, and one of the reasons why I'm running for Hayward School Board is because I'm the parent of a child in the district. I want to briefly touch on why Hayward and education in Hayward is so very important to me. In 2009, my partner and I relocated to Hayward after I had been the victim of a violent crime in San Francisco that left me paralyzed on the upper right side of my torso. Upon settling in Hayward, I decided that I should finish school, and I enrolled at Chabot College, even though I could not write or type my own name. I spent almost 5 years studying relentless at Chabot, determined to gain my associate's degree in English. During my tenure at Chabot College, I worked as a curriculum developer and an ACT and SAT math and English instructor in multiple Bay Area districts. After graduating, I enrolled immediately at CSU East Bay, and after 2 years, I gained my bachelor's degree in English literature. After that, I enrolled at the University of San Francisco and completed my master's degree in urban and public policy with an emphasis on early care and education, and I welcomed my son into the world. During the COVID-19 pandemic, I served 2 terms as the president of board of directors of the Alameda County Child Care Resource and Referral Agency, 4Cs. It was then that I began to see that something was going on in the Hayward School District, where the educational gap was being widened disproportionately among Black students in comparison to their counterparts, with a particular disparity in 3rd grade reading level proficiency. I couldn't think but how the focus of my education, lived experience, and background in policy writing and advocacy could provide a lens of equity in contributing to the effectiveness of the school board addressing the many challenges that all HUSD parents face. As a parent, I know how much we want our children to be successful, and as a former student and current educator, I know that this success is possible.
Thank you, candidate Kelly. And next we have candidate Buffette.
Hello, everyone. My name is Simon Peter Gutierrez Buffette. You know me as Peter Buffette. I am a proud product and only candidate that actually attended our Hayward Unified Schools. I attended Treeview Elementary, Bret Harte Middle School, and Hayward High School. When I look back at my experience through Hayward Unified, it was a very positive one. I think our school district prepared me well for college, which and also prepared me well for adulthood as well. I want all of our students, the 19,000 kids that we have in Hayward Unified, to reflect in that same manner and to look back at their experiences positively as well. I think one of the things that I subscribe to is that you never really forget how people make you feel. And so that's always been a big part of my leadership, is really emphasizing how important experiences are, and especially positive experiences. And that comes with one of the pillars of our strategic plan, and emphasizing service excellence. It's something I've always emphasized with our leadership team, our cabinet, and how that is a priority that we must have as a district when we communicate with our community, our labor partners, our students, our staff, anyone that we are ever interacting with. That is so important. I am very proud to be on this board, to have been on this board for the last 4 years. I was elected in 2020 by the people, and while on this board, I was elected as president by my peers and colleagues. I served for the last 2 years on this board And it's something that I take with great honor to be able to lead our meetings and to help lead our district, to have that experience. I think when you elect somebody, you have 3 votes to choose in this election. I bring with it experience and the incumbency factor of knowing really how the district operates and how things work. I think if you're going to pick somebody, if you're going to pick your 3, you definitely need to have somebody who does not have a learning curve of how this governance works. I think that's going to be something that's really important when you make that decision. One thing I do pride myself on is my ability to work with just about anybody. Just like I was able to get my peers to trust my leadership to be president, I'm confident that I can work with any of the candidates before you.
Thank you, candidate Buffette. Time's up. So thank you both. Thank you all for your opening statements, and we'll now commence the questions that we have this evening for you. So the first question is, could you tell us about your experience working or volunteering with educational partners that support students from early childhood through their career journey? And we'll mix the order up, and we will start this time with candidate Bruckner Carrillo.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the question. I bring with me over a decade of experience working in local and state government, working alongside our community partners and our nonprofits who perform the services that benefit our most vulnerable students, the students that fall through the cracks. I'm proud of my work as chair of this city's Community Services Commission. I'm proud to be endorsed by trustees on every community college district. I believe in the power of uplifting those in our classrooms. There are candidates in this race who will claim to be an educator when they're not. I am not an educator myself, but I am proud to be supported by educators. I'm proud to work alongside them as the president of one of Alameda County's longest running LGBTQ pride organizations to do the work to create safe classrooms for every kid.
Thank you. And next we will hear from candidate Buffette.
Can we just, with the practice, can we review the question again?
I'm sorry, it broke up.
Oh, could you just repeat the question?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, of course. Could you tell us about your experience working or volunteering with educational partners that support students from early childhood through their career journey?
Okay, most definitely. Well, first off, I think the most applicable experience for the school board is the 4 years I've served on the school board. In this role, since my start until now, we've heavily emphasized the importance of our TK programming and making sure that we strengthen our elementary curriculums and make sure that we take care of those students. I have been in the community for over 12 years as a Friends of the Hayward Public Library board member. They were the group that helps fund the programs and resources for our Hayward Public Library, who actually came to the rescue during COVID and provided hotspots, computers. And I attribute a lot of my the relationships that I built amongst both of those universes into making sure that partnership was successful. I was on the Hayward Education Foundation for over 4 years. I served on the Library Commission as well, the City of Hayward Library Commission for 8 years, and was chair of that commission for half of that term. I've been in this community for a long time. I've lived in this community pretty much my entire life since I was in elementary school. I've been here and served on the budget committee at the school district, DAC, DLAC, Hayward HLAC, which is the combination of the City of Hayward and HUSD, and the school district as well.
Thank you. Thank you, candidate Fete. And the next, do you need me to repeat the question again to candidate Kelly?
No, I don't. As part of my graduate experience at the University of San Francisco, I was very honored and privileged to work with the Alameda County Early Care and Education Department. What we were able to do was assess the needs of Alameda County's early care and education landscape in order to make early care and education more affordable for struggling parents, but also to be able to provide a living wage for all Alameda County early care and education workers. I also am extremely proud of the fact that before my collegiate career, I was hired by two distinct organizations. One is Achieve Learning, and the other is College Track. And what I did specifically was I went into the San Francisco Unified School District, the Contra Costa Unified School District, and the San Leandro Unified School District, and I developed curriculum. The type of curriculum that I developed was the curriculum that was culturally sensitive to certain student populations that were having challenges with passing the California high school state exit exams. And we increased their participation and we increased their graduation rates by 20%.
Thank you. Thank you. And last but not least, of course, is candidate Jauregui.
I just want to make sure I can see the clock on the screen first, because last time I couldn't see it.
Do you see it now?
We could check that.
By the upper right-hand corner, next to the sign-in.
When I see other people, is this running down my time?
No, she's not going to start it until you're ready.
Okay. I saw it on her box. Okay, it's in her screen. It's not in the top right. Okay, that just so I know where it is. Thank you for taking.
No, that's fine. It's fine to make sure you understand. Thank you.
Okay, and could you repeat the question, please?
Yes, the question is, could you tell us about your experiences working or volunteering with educational partners that support students from early childhood through their career journey?
Okay, so I'll remind you of the other advisory boards I've mentioned before in the end, if I have a chance, but I've also been in early years, I was always a volunteer in youth groups, church youth groups, camps, and I was always a leader and a mentor. I did mentorships with high school students and junior high students in the community. So I've always been community active in that way. And then I started having my own children and, focusing on that. But I've also partnered with Fresh Lifelines for Youth, working with as a Justice Studies graduate. I have a master's in Justice Studies, and an undergraduate is my undergraduate is a BS in Criminal Justice. Fresh Lifelines for Youth was referred to me by one of the professors at CSU East Bay, and it was a great experience working with justice-involved youth, teaching them topics like knowing my rights and 3 strikes. I think that's my time.
Yes, thank you very much, candidate Jauregui. All right, let's go to the next question. And I just want to mention before I start that I had a power outage earlier today, and if I turn my video off so you don't see me, it's only because I'm getting an unstable reading. It's not happening right now, but I just wanted to warn folks if you don't see me, that's what's going on. So let me go to the next question, which is, can you tell us what is your approach to building teamwork and ensuring effective decision-making? And how would you foster a sense of community among your fellow board members to work collaboratively and reach a consensus on the best ways to support students in Hayward Unified? And this time we will start with candidate Buffette.
I love this question. If you watched the school board meeting last night, we had some pretty heavy topics that we had to discuss. Things like the budget, which a lot of opinions can be thrown in there, and a lot of different strategies can be pulled. I was able to bring our board together and move us forward and vote 5-0 to move forward. As being president of this board, I had to earn the trust of my colleagues on this board to work with them and to elect me to that role. That is something I am very good at. I think a lot of it is building trust in your colleagues. Communication is key. Overall, I think you have to lead and show that you're competent to be in this role. So that you have experience and that you have a record that you can fall back. I'm endorsed by the entire Hayward City Council for my leadership. I'm endorsed by Eric Swalwell, Aisha Wahab, Liz Ortega, These are leaders in our community that have done so many great things, and they have put their names behind mine and endorsed me.
Thank you, candidate Buffette. Next, we'll hear from candidate Kelly.
Yes, thank you for that question. About 6 years ago, when I was finishing up graduate school at the University of USF, I had a great opportunity to join the board of one of Alameda County's largest child care resource and referral agencies. For those of you that don't know what that means, it means that this agency has to provide child care resource things for families that cannot afford child care. So they provide vouchers, they provide backpacks, they provide food, all those different things I was able to do as a board member. But the one thing that I'm proud of as I served 2 terms as the board president was working collaboratively with a multicultural board. There were people from Asian Islander backgrounds, people from Latino backgrounds, people from all different types of backgrounds, because that represents us in Hayward. And it was a wonderful experience. The one thing I learned, though, was to always be observant of the needs of other people rather than establishing my needs. You have to learn from others where they come from and what their needs are to truly be collaborative.
Thank you, candidate Kelly. And next we'll hear from candidate Hawaregi.
I think I lost the clock. It just moved. Okay. So working with fellow members is something I look forward to. As a justice advocate, justice candidate, and justice major studies, peaceful pluralism is something that I'm a proponent of and have been a proponent of for years. As soon as I came across the term in my studies, it supports my endeavors to elevate dignity, respect, tolerance, and open dialogue among our different communities. Being a leader as we sit on the board is important. We need to show that to our members, and speaking that way with our fellow members at the seat is important to be an example of that. The Hayward community will benefit from collective well-being, and when we emphasize resolving conflicts through understanding, cooperation, and using procedural and restorative justice and intersectionality in all our talks, we can strengthen diversity and the social fabric instead of increasing dividing lines and hostility. So I always will push forward for listening, learning from others, hearing from others, dignity and respect in all my communications.
Thank you. And we will then next hear from candidate Kaylin Kelly.
Hey.
I've already gone for this question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's see. I know I'm missing one at the moment.
It's Austin.
I'm sorry, Austin. Candidate, please go ahead.
And I apologize, it kicked me off for the question. Do you mind repeating?
Oh, of course not. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're having a little bit of mix-ups today with the powers, I think. How would you foster a sense of community among your fellow board members to work collaboratively and reach a consensus on the best ways to support students in Hayward Unified? What is your approach to building teamwork and ensuring effective decision-making?
I'll wait for the timer. I appreciate the question. It's perhaps the most challenging one that I get on the campaign trail. How do you fix the dynamic that has been the longstanding experience that folks have working with our district? I bring with me a decade of experience working in local government, helping to draft policy. You take one item and you move to the next. You keep the conversation focused on the needs of students. You ensure that you are allowing time for your colleagues to speak, that you are uplifting opportunities for everyone on that board to have positions of authority. The conversion to district elections is something I'm super excited for in 2 years. I believe that will help address the conflict that sometimes comes when you have 3 candidates on one board vying for the same seat. I look forward to working with my colleagues, working with our community, again, keeping the conversation focused on the needs of students.
Thank you. The next question is, how are LGBTQ plus students and families supported in the district, and what more is needed? And I would ask now for candidate Kelly to start with that question.
I'm very happy that you asked that question. So currently, I am a health educator, and I teach in Solano County and in San Joaquin County in both of these school districts. And what I do specifically is I reach out to LGBTQIA populations of students, along with Latino students and students of African American descent. And what I do is teach them tobacco prevention policy. That means that I teach them how to encourage their peers and their city council members to adopt tobacco prevention ordinances. The same thing has been done within the Hayward School District, and I'm proud to be a huge part of that. I've been a part of the voice to protect LGBTQIA students from the premeditatory, harmful tobacco campaigns that the tobacco industry spends millions of dollars on every year trying to get LGBTQIA students to smoke. And the one thing we know about smoking is that it's a lifelong addiction.
Thank you. And next, we will hear from candidate Buffetti.
I love this question because I was very proud to have been actually at Hayward High School when we raised for the very first time the pride flag. And it's something that we passed as a board in a resolution. I believe it was 2 Junes ago, and we now fly that flag across the district. We just chose that site to do the event, but the flag is flown across the district, and we have supported that. We even had a LGBTQ plus community and allies event within the Hayward Unified School District where staff and students and parent community members were able to attend and share their stories. I was honored to have been asked to attend and and share really what our board's dedication is to making sure that we support our LGBTQI plus students. We're here for them, and we will always support them in every way.
Thank you. And next, we will hear from candidate Jauregui.
Okay, thank you. So from a justice studies perspective, I have seen staggering numbers of harm done to LGBTQI plus students. And I'm a proponent of protection and safety for all our students. And as far as LGBTQI plus goes, they're in the top 5 considered in our push out. The push out is when Congress defined it, and multiple empirical evidence is out there that says that it's when policies and practices and school climate overwhelm somebody that they actually leave rather than it being an individual choice. So people feel like they're pushed out. LGBTQI plus is part of that group. It's part of that top 5. And we need to protect them. And as a substitute teacher, I am a proponent of that. And I even lived it out today with a student, seeking out protection, stopping the bullying, protecting them, and making sure our campus security was protecting this person from anything else happening.
Thank you. And the last on this question, candidate Bruckner Carrillo.
Appreciate the question. Public education is under attack from groups like Moms for Liberty, Gays Against Groomers, No Left Turn. And there is a growing group of our community, parents in our community, who are pushing a false narrative about what's being taught in our schools and why it's being taught. There have been changes to the state law. School boards have a requirement to follow state law. I believe that the best way to support LGBTQ students is how do we talk about parent engagement? How do we talk about proactive communication for what is often difficult conversations? I come before you, I'm adopted into a Puerto Rican household. I know what it's like to come out in perhaps a faith group that is unwelcoming. to make sure that we are empowering our parents, providing them with the tools that they need to have those conversations, but we cannot compromise on what's being taught. There are folks in this race who have outlined their number one priority would be to ban books, to ban gender-affirming access to care and programs.
Thank you. Our next question is, how would you ensure public access to public recreation and community facilities that are housed on school grounds when they're not being used for school programming? And this time, let's start first with candidate Jauregui.
Could you repeat the question again? Public access to what was it again?
The public access to public recreation and community facilities like a swimming pool or theater or other community, other buildings that are housed on school grounds when they're not being used for school programming. So it's public access, in other words, to the public when the school's not using those facilities.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm already a part of that. The committee I'm on called 7-Eleven. I forgot why they called it that. I think it was something that they made up years ago and it just stuck. But it's the district repurposing of our unused property. And we were partnered with a staff member who has moved on. And so I think that they're going to regroup eventually, but I believe I'm still on the committee. I'm waiting for an update. But we were deciding with the facilities director for the district, how do we use those facilities? Do we rent them? Are they, what is their current state? Are they in lease? And which direction should we go? Which property first? So I've seen all of that inner working, and I am still available and waiting to, and looking forward to supporting that. We made sure that parents would receive the information, and parents voted on some of the things when we would hear those updates.
Sorry, I was muted. Let's hear from candidate Kelly on that question. Do you need it to be repeated?
No, I don't.
All right,
I'm so glad you asked this question. About 10 years ago, my brother and I started a nonprofit called I Earn Life. And what the nonprofit does is it donates all types of athletic training and athletic equipment to underserved school districts. So we've worked at Fremont High School for the last 10 years, and I've seen this work where the school district allows private clubs or public clubs to be able to utilize things like football fields and basketball courts for youth participation. My son currently plays football with a team called the West Coast Islanders. And guess what? They practice at Chabot College. They actually practice on the football field. So that's an excellent idea for the school district to be able to give public access to public organizations to be able to utilize their services. There's also one more that I'm extremely proud of. Hayward High School. Hayward High School allows the Hayward Aggies youth football team to utilize their football field in order to hold practices. And I'm proud to say that the Hayward Aggies have won 2 national championships now, and I would like to think that Hayward High School has a lot to do with that.
I think you're on mute, Melissa.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Let's hear next from candidate Bruckner Carrillo. And would you like me to repeat the question?
I'm okay, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh.
I'll wait for the timer. Okay. Yeah, our school facilities, they are a community asset. Not everyone lives close to a local park. For many kids, especially those that grow up in apartments, those that face housing insecurity, families who struggle to make ends meet, having your kid go out, run around is a form of free entertainment. It's a form of free exercise. We need to make sure that we're expanding access to our school programs and our school facilities. We do that through working with folks at HUSD, working with our city to make sure that we have a collaborative environment that's proactive about planning for our space use needs. We have a bond that we're implementing, a $550 million bond measure. to make sure that we are working with HUD, working with the city to prioritize what are your needs for facilities within HUSD, so that we're making the best facilities possible, that we are securing parts of our campus that should not be open to the public, and that we're empowering our 7-Eleven committee to make sure we're able to hear members' feedback, not just that of staff.
Thank you. And then let's hear from candidate Buffette.
Yes, this is a wonderful question. Actually, it's something that I continue to push for. That we continue to have this access at a broader scale to our community. In fact, a lot of our facilities were only possible because of the community voting for measures that secured the funding for those sites. There is actually only one answer really to this question. We use a program called Facilitron. Go to facilitron.com/HUSD 94544. You can actually book pretty much any HUSD site if it's available. That's open to the community, depending on your organization and whatnot. The cost will change if you're a nonprofit, if you're a private entity. That's the answer to that question. We use Facilitron to manage that access to the public. We can work on other ways to create broader access by lowering costs or subsidizing those costs. Those are other opportunities. But that's what we do here. And then the answer for 7-Eleven, that's actually in regards to the minimum and maximum amount of people for that committee. I heard that question be asked earlier.
Thank you. The next question has to do with community schools, and it is, what is your understanding of community schools, and how do you see that being rolled out in the Hayward School District? So let's start this time with candidate Kaylin Kelly.
I lost my mute button. Yeah, that's a great question. Something about community schools, I have to say, is that this is not a new concept. In many communities, in many cultural communities, they've been doing this for a very long time. Specifically in the African American community, we've been using the entire community to protect the entire child and to educate the entire child for a very long time. This particular concept is a concept that when we do it right, it does have tremendous benefits for HUSD students. I mean, we can be able to work with community-based organizations. We can be able to work with community pastors, all different types of organizations, all focused on educating the entire child. And this pays massive dividends. The amount of community momentum, community trust is improved upon, but the trajectory of student success is improved massively when we utilize the concept of community schools working in partnership with community organizations to educate and protect the entire child.
Let's hear next from candidate Bruckner Carrillo.
Thank you so much. Yeah, community schools are, when people ask what I'm most excited about serving on our school board, it's community schools. It's the opportunity for how do we support kids who are going through difficult things at home to make sure that they're able to be in class, be the best student they can be. That's how we talk about how do we improve graduation rates? How do we improve academic success? There was a rough rollout, in my opinion, from the legislature and then passed through to our school district that created tension between our teachers and the new community school specialists that we've brought in. There's deep wounds, deep division, and those two groups don't often feel that they are empowered to work together as a cohesive team. How do we as a school board reaffirm that our teachers should be working with our community school specialists, and that our community school specialists are there to support the needs of our teachers, to support the needs of every kid? How do we bring in external partners? How do we bring in the county to the discussion? How do we empower groups like HLAC to be a part of our community school process? Thank you.
Thank you. And then let's hear next from candidate Buffette.
Yes, I love this question. Community schools is a model that basically really acknowledges the need to address the child as a whole. It's a holistic approach. We're coupling education and academics with taking care of a student's health and social services, and bringing in all of our partners and community into the discussion of how we can help support and uplift our students, our children. It's something that we as a district, have been doing for pretty much for forever. And that's one of the strengths of Hayward Unified is the strengths of our community partners and our ability to really treat the whole child. One of the things I'm most proud of is our backpack giveaway that we do in August. It gets our kids excited. We gave away 3,500 backpacks to kids. We fed them. We had free food. We had a bike repair. We gave away, we had booster shots. We had dental care. It was just overall an amazing experience, but that's how we have to really approach our kids. It's the holistic approach.
Let's hear next from candidate Jauregui.
Okay, so community schools, I was glad to see just that wording when even when I was looking at EdJoin to apply for some jobs. I'm glad to see it's there. As a justice studies major, community policing has always been something I'm a proponent of, and it is a similar idea, getting them out in the community, getting so in mirror, it would be education partners and the education community out into the community. It's something as a parent I have wanted, and I've wanted since my kids were small in the system. I wanted that connection to be there because you are my other part of my family. You're taking care of my kid during the day, and as a parent, I want to know that you care. And so I love this idea of community schools, and that's what it's for. As a parent, that's what it speaks to for me. And for procedural, I think we need procedural justice added in so that parents can feel better about it if there's any kickback.
Thank you. Next question has to do with crisis communications. What is your observation of crisis communications between the district and the community? Are there any changes you would make? And let's hear this time from candidate Bruckner Carrillo.
Yeah. Communication on all fronts is what I would say the biggest weakness within HUSD. And that plays out when there are incidents on our school campus, when there's rumors of incidents. We have underinvested in some of our deferred maintenance categories. We had a situation this year where we had an entire wing of one of our schools didn't have access to a phone for over a week. What does that mean if there's an emergency on our campuses? We are implementing a bond measure that'll provide some additional support about how do we build safer schools, how do we improve communication processes and infrastructure. But really, we need to engage our parents. We need to empower our community groups to make sure that we are doing disaster drills and practice what it looks like when there's an incident. Who do you communicate with? What does that communication plan look like? And then that feedback option. So everyone feels included. No one's afraid of what's going on, and the information is being shared as best we can.
Thank you. Candidate Jauregui, may we have your thoughts?
Can you repeat the question once more, please?
Of course. What is your observation of crisis communications between the district and the community? Are there any changes you would make?
Okay. So crisis communications, I think of two different ways. There's the crisis communications where, active shooter or, something scary happening on the campus, large events. And we have our safety plans in place. And communications do happen and are required by our policies. And they're supposed to notify the parents for certain crises. There's also mental crises. And I have firsthand knowledge of this with my own child and how the district handles it and the mental support that is received. And they try their best. They try their best to connect to the kids. And I know what my son went through. And I know what it is as a parent to have to deal with it. And I would urge parents to stay close to your district partner, at your school partners, your family engagement specialists, your counselors, and crisis on the individual level can get handled well. And those supports are there for parents.
Thank you. Let's hear next from candidate Kelly on what is your observation of crisis communications between the district and the community?
This question really hits very close to home to me. I am a shooting survivor, and my son, at the age of 9, is a mass shooting survivor. It's very unfortunate that these incidents and incidents like these are crisis incidents, and they happen far too often. One of the things that I feel should be done is that the district, the parents, and the community work together to make a safe environment. Our students deserve to be safe when they're at school, and I know as a parent how much trust goes into sending your child to school 5 days a week with other adults. We have to invest in prevention strategies and be proactive about safety. I know the city of Hayward is working hard with the district and they've been working closely together. I'm eager to work along with them. And I'm also eager to work with the community to design something that's uniquely tailored for the needs of our school. I know that schools are important, and I know that our school is working with a program called Safe and Inclusive Schools, and they're making it a lot easier for students to communicate, not only with their parents, but with administrators. And I believe that this is a step in the right direction. And being elected to the school board as a trustee, I would encourage that, and I would work to make that something collaboratively effective.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see. I just lost my place. I think we have to hear on this question from candidate Buffette, correct? What is your observation of crisis communications between the district and the community, and are there any changes you would make?
Most definitely. In terms of changes we would make, I think one something to always really stand by is that you always want to chase a better version of yourself, whether it's ourselves as a district, as an organization. So if communications aren't satisfactory right now, we need to continually work to make sure that we do improve them. I think we do have a great system right now. For incidences that occur throughout the district, I'm very quick to know from our staff when things happen. And likewise to the site staff, as well as the parents to the respective schools. I really want to touch on what candidate Kelly had mentioned is one of the strengths of this communication is having a good partnership with our city of Hayward. I have a good relationship in working with our mayor, our police chief, our city manager, and making sure that we come to the table and we discuss overlapping issues that we can help support each other on, whether it's them patrolling outside of a school campus or providing information that'll help with our staff for other incidences. That's really key, communication and partnerships.
Thank you. Our next question that we received is, could you share your experience with at least at the last 2 schools you visited in the district? When did you visit them and what did you do at each? And we will start on this one with candidate Kaylin Kelly.
First of all, I want to say this question is a little unfair because as a parent, I drop my son off at school every single day. but what I will say is this, particularly from a parent's perspective, it's extremely important that when you visit the school sites, you breathe it all in and you try to make sure that you're not overwhelmed with all of the information that's presented with you at one time. Let me tell you an experience about walking up to Fairview Elementary where my son goes. The first thing you see outside of the lost and found where all the kids' clothes are, you see a bulletin board with hundreds of things and you can't internalize them all at once. What I would say when I go up to Fairview is I look for those teachers and those staff that are particularly tasked with engaging parents. I also am one of the coordinators for the African American Student Achievement Initiative, which is an initiative that's it gets African American students on the right trajectory for academic success. Those are the types of things that I do when I visit Hayward Unified School District schools.
Thank you. Let's hear next on that question from the candidate Jauregui. And the question is, again, could you share your experience with the last 2 schools you visited? And I'm thinking that the person who asked this question was not referring to just your experience as a parent. So feel free to, interpret it accordingly. When did you visit the schools and what did you do at each one? And the question being again, with the last two schools.
The last two schools. So a couple of weeks ago, I was substituting at Mount Eden. It's a role I've done multiple times for the same teacher. Hello, I love you, Miss King. The art teacher sometimes needs support because she has to go to a teacher meeting, and I'm there on campus to help her. And I remember the students. I saw a student there that I was the teacher for all summer. I taught STEM with YEP in 2023 the entire summer, and I had my own class there. And so I saw some of those kids there. I see the inner workings of the campus. And then I also, I think the last time before that would have been at Lauren Eden Elementary with my son's school, being on school site council and taking part, partnering with parents, teachers, staff, and administration on school site plan.
Thank you. Let's hear next from candidate Buffette on your last two visits to two schools. And
Yes. When you asked that question, I don't know if anybody saw me, but I was beaming immediately because I was eager to share this. I just came from Southgate Elementary at 3 o'clock today, and they were named a National Blue Ribbon School. That means they're a top 30 school in the country. Can we give them a round of applause for that? Because that is amazing. I just want to thank the staff, the team, the parent teacher association there, the FES specialist, who is one of the best in our district. They all came together. Our principal, Ms. Costa, they are such an amazing team and really deserve this award. That's where I came from today. It was amazing to see the kids light up and see the big balloons that we had and the whole program that we had to celebrate. I just want to say how proud I am of our Southgate community and Southgate Elementary. The other school I attended most recently was it had to be Tennyson High School. They had a car show that they do every year that the Puente program does. They had foods and vendors there. It was a really great reflection of that local community. So those two.
thank you. And let's hear next from candidate Bruckner Carrillo on your experience.
I appreciate the question. To me, the root of the question is, as a school board trustee, will I do site visits? How frequent will they be? Yes, I will do site visits. Yes, I've made a commitment to our labor partners to do routine site visits where you meet with every different category of staff members. You don't just go to the main office. You don't just go to the feel-good stuff. Because that's where we listen, we learn, we see the work in action on our school campuses. The last two sites I visited that really stand out, Hayward High, and then I went to Tyrell Elementary School. Both of those, I have an opportunity to talk about safety concerns with our staff and some of our students. We talked about the misuse of what I call kind of a one-size-fits-all upgrade that we do, where teachers end up with an upgrade in their classroom that we spend money on, and the teacher is kind of like, why is this here? This is something I'm never going to use with my teaching style. To really talk about space planning concerns, where we have multiple different subjects sharing a classroom that doesn't necessarily make sense. So those are the conversations I have when I visit sites. Melanie, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Next question is, what specific measures do you intend to take on to focus on students' educational improvement? And this time, let's start with candidate Buffette.
Yes, I think making sure that we have appropriate interventions and supports for our students, and make sure that they have resources such as tutoring. One of the things I'm most proud of is that we have a partnership with the library where they do have access to tutor.com that they can access after hours. They can utilize those resources for free. This is something that I think that we should continue to expand. We also have homework support centers that we support the district through the library as well with. That program had really blown up and it was super successful. Then COVID hit. We had to rein back some of those programs and resources, but really my goal is to make sure that we get back to the same status we were with those homework help centers as we were pre-COVID. Making sure that we, again, take care of the whole child is so important. It's hard to learn quadratic equations when you're hungry in class. or that you didn't have enough sleep the night before. So make sure that we remember that we're taking care of the whole child is so important in their success in academics.
I'm sorry, let's hear next from candidate Bruckner Carrillo on what specific measures do you intend to take on to focus on students' educational improvement?
Yeah, I want to echo the concerns about empowering our community school specialists, making sure that we are doing everything we can to ensure that that process is operating smoothly, that our teachers and our community school staff feel that they are working in tandem. To bring in the county into the conversation, HUSD has 3 unincorporated areas, and the county is often not at the table. And they are many times the #1 service provider for early childhood education, social services, and other programs. How do we address absenteeism? That is how we fund public education in this country and in this state. To talk about what does an online learning model look like, and how do we make sure that we're being competitive in the programming and different types of classes that we're offering in neighboring districts. To talk about scheduling constraints. There's been examples where our scheduling staff and our facility staff don't talk to one another, which creates situations where kids miss out on extracurricular activities. Those are all things that encourage kids to come to school and achieve.
Thank you. Let's hear next from candidate Jauregui on what specific measures do you intend to take on to focus on students' educational improvement?
There's a lot of great areas, but for me as a justice proponent, I'll start with a lens of justice in everything I do and a pathway to reducing systemic inconsistencies. We got a lot of gaps and inconsistencies that really slow down our processes because we all want the same thing. We all want our kids to succeed. We want those students to feel good. We want campus safety and climate. We want to, I want to end push out. But it's not just push out of our students, it's push out of parents, push out of teachers, that they feel like they have to leave. We don't want them to feel like they have to leave. I want them to feel better about staying. Please stay. We need you. We want you. We love you. Find solutions and support for students with special needs, students in special education. I work with them every day right now. I want the gaps to stop there. I want the gaps in the process, the slow down in paperwork, the slow down in connection with the families. I need my students need those connections, and they need me there every day. We need structure and we need resources, and we need to kind of concentrate more funding toward that too, so that those students, those important students, get everything they need.
Thank you. And let's hear next on this question from candidate Kelly on what specific measures do you intend to take on to focus on students' educational improvements?
So I have 2 names for you. Remember these names if you haven't already heard them. Dr. Shay Gregory and Dr. Joyce Givens. These are 2 very well-educated African-American educators. They've both been in the Unified School District for a very long time, serving in multiple capacities. They are the women doing the research to end the 3rd grade literacy crisis. I'm so proud to be part of the group that often sits with them to understand why the 3rd grade literacy crisis is happening and how the district is going to solve that. 2 women. There's another woman, very strong woman. Her name is Dr. Candace Cofield. She is the woman in the Hayward Unified School District that has developed the policy to remove the N-word from our student populations. I'm so happy to note that the Hayward Unified School District School Board just approved this measure by Dr. Candace Cofield. I serve on the Hayward Equity Oversight Committee, and I played a large role in the rollout of banning the N-word in our public schools.
Sorry. Another question we received is, what would you do to provide healthier student meals? And let's start with candidate Jauregui on that one.
Hi. So healthier student meals. We've got the finding tasty and healthy and meeting it together. It hasn't always been everything we can do. And multiple palettes is hard to meet the happiness factor, but I think we should consider outside sources, see how we can find cost effective partners that, because I worked at Tesla and I saw Elon, I worked in finance. I supported all the all the finance executives, and we had to, I swear, the most minute level, we found ways to get food services to the population and make sure it was convenient. So I've seen those kind of processes. I would bring those in if I was on the board, and I would try and push for those kind of ways that we can maybe talk to community partners, community vendors, and just kind of bring all those voices together.
Thank you. Let's hear next from candidate Bruckner Carrillo on how would you address providing healthier student meals?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Conversation when we talk about food waste in our school district is an evaluation of what's being eaten, what's not. When we talk about how do we reduce budget constraints to make sure that we're not over purchasing on things, and that gives us a little bit more to work with money-wise in terms of the kinds of items that we can purchase. So I think the number one item when we talk about any changes to our meal planning is talking about what's being wasted, what is our plan for food that can be recovered, what are our opportunities to plug in community gardens at our sites, and then, is there an opportunity to save a little bit of money where you can go ahead and maybe get that item that cost per pupil would be too expensive, but if you're buying the right quantity and then just surveying what is and is not being eaten, you have those options to go ahead and make good decisions, listening to our students, listening to our staff, listening to the folks that are actually producing the food in our school sites.
Thank you. Let's hear next from candidate Kelly on what would you do to provide healthier meals?
Listen, I actually applaud the school board and the school district for what they're doing right now with regard to adhering to dietary measures. I've had plenty of conversations with Trustee Buffette, not necessarily about what the district serves, but I want to make sure that he knows that I agree with what the board is doing. And let me tell you something. My son eats those meals, and there have been a few times where he brought them home, and I've eaten some myself. So I can't sit up here and bash what the district is doing with regard to nutritious meals. They're nutritious, they're tasty, and I'm not going to be the one to say we need a Salisbury steak in there, even though that's what I like. I'm worried about what the kids are eating, making sure that my son, as well as other parents in the district, their children are getting nutritious meals. And from what I see so far, kudos to the district. You're doing a marvelous job.
Thank you, Kelly. Let's see, I think last we would hear from the question from candidate Buffette on what would you do to address healthier meals.
Most definitely. Our board has done that. One of the things I'm most excited about is that while on this board, we've added actually a lot of new exciting vendors to our meal plans. If you go to any school site, they have salad bars. There is actually a requirement that you have to take a piece of fruit when you get lunch at our school sites. We've added Sonoma Farms as a vendor. We've added Boar's Head. Yes, Boar's Head, the one that you can see at Safeway that makes sandwiches, premium sandwiches for our kids. We've added Clover Milk Dairy. So a lot of these brands that we've added in vendors was a way for us to really reshape what the plate looks like at our schools. And to much what candidate Kelly has mentioned, that has been a priority of ours, making sure that our kids have access to healthy decisions. I think the next step now is education. One thing that we do see is as they get older, they tend to gravitate towards maybe the not so healthy alternatives, and maybe there's somewhere we could work on that. I think you're mute again.
I'm sorry, I thought I'd done it unmuted before you stopped. So our next question to all of you is, how can the school board set policies to improve or enhance the safety of our students? And on that one, we will start with candidate Bruckner Carrillo.
Okay. I appreciate it. I think we touched on it a little bit earlier when we talked about crisis management planning. We talked about it when we talked about involving the city in the discussion. We're implementing a $550 million bond measure. That's a tremendous amount of money that the district now has the responsibility of using wisely, but also making sure that we are keeping in mind that certain campuses, because of how they were built, Hayward High is a fine example of that. You're able to walk on campus to make sure that we are using those bond funds to build infrastructure so schools feel safe, not building schools like prisons, making sure that the infrastructure works, that every teacher and staff member has access to a phone in the event of an emergency, that there is a communication plan with community partners. We've had instances recently this year where community is not informed of what's going on, to really make sure that we're providing the emotional supports at an early age. It's a tough question in a minute, but I appreciate it.
Let's hear next from candidate Buffette on
Could you just repeat the question just for good measure?
yes. How can the school board set policies to enhance or improve the safety of our students?
Most definitely. I'll definitely actually agree with a lot of what candidate Bruckner Carrillo had mentioned. A lot of it goes into the architectural and the design aspects of the new buildings that we're going to have when we get the funds for Measure I. That's key. That's one of the things that I worked on when we built the new library in downtown Hayward, was making sure that there are spots that staff could stand and monitor and have direct lines of sight to all parts of that library. Same thing that we actually incorporate when we build new schools throughout the district. That is very key. Other policies that we can have to couple that is, reinforcing the policies that we currently have in place in terms of visitors and people that come on campus. Those are all things that we can always strengthen our policies around if we want to strengthen and restrict the type of people that step foot on our campuses. Back to the old one question though. I want to try our vegan nuggets that we do have at our school district. Delicious. Thank you.
Thank you. And then next, candidate Kelly, how can the Hayward School Board set policies to ensure, enhance, or improve the safety of our students? Oh, I think candidate Kelly's muted.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. I have
Sorry, it's catching.
Oh, okay, good. I have low bandwidth as well. So thank you for that question. What I was going to say was that I agree with Trustee Buffette. There are opportunities for the constituents and residents and parents of Hayward to weigh in on the safety of our schools. Measure I is a bond that is developed in order to ask the voters to approve a measure that will upgrade our schools. Guess what concept is involved in upgrading our schools? Safety. That should be the number one concept. And not just safety on campus. There's another issue with one of our middle schools, which is Bret Hart. That school site is on a seismically active fault. And addressing that means voting on Measure I, making sure that not only are our schools safe from people who would do our staff and students harm, but also safe from geographic and seismic activity that is bound to happen in California.
Thank you. And let's hear next. Let me try that again. For candidate Haudegi, the question is, how can the Hayward School Board set policies to enhance or improve the safety of our students?
Okay, thank you. The safety of our students is really important to me because my kids are there every day. No parent wants to feel like their kids are unsafe. There's a lot of different ways we could look at this. Justice wise, we want to make sure our procedural justice is in place, that we're listening to others, that we're including voices, polling parents, polling students, and you keep those polls private, but you at least hear back from them. Safety with SRO practices, making sure that the proper training is there. Bullying and cyberbullying, we can address that better. We have a lot of great policies, but there's gaps. So looking at it from the lens of systemic inconsistencies and procedural justice and restorative justice, inserting the term justice back into the program would support all of that, because justice starts with each and every one of us, and it's not part of everything that we talk about. We need that back in our nomenclature.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question before we turn to closing statements. So let me pose the question about, which is, how do you think artificial intelligence, such as, for example, ChatGPT, will impact the education of our students? And on that one, let's start with candidate Bruckner Carrillo. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong order. I just asked you to start first the last time. So let me be fair and continue moving on. So let me ask candidate Kelly to start with that question. Thank you.
Listen, I think artificial intelligence is great. And I think that it's going to service our student population that has been underserved and oftentimes misrepresented and disadvantaged, with a chance to actually catch up on the trajectory of the successful landscape of their academic progress. I think that students are going to have access to lots of tools that we never had access before. When I was in high school, I went to a high school in a very urban area. There was a lot of disinvestment going on. And frankly, I didn't have access to a lot of the tools that some of the more affluent schools had. I think that applications like ChatGPT and other artificial intelligence applications are going to play a huge part in leveling that playing field. The one thing I will say, though, is that you can use some of these applications in order to make an essay a lot easier to develop. And so we're going to have to be able to develop some protocol so that we're encouraging our students to use these strategies wisely, efficiently, and productively.
Thank you. Candidate Hauregi, how do you think artificial intelligence will impact the education of our students?
So artificial intelligence is a good thing, just like most things that get brought into our system until it's not. So then artificial intelligence is great. It's as far as capitalism is concerned, it's a great moneymaker. I've seen it work wonders for educators. So iReady is a testing program that the students have been going through at the school I'm at, and it helps put them on a track, and every student is working from their own progress, and it helps to elevate that learning. But then there's those type of things like plagiarism when they're writing, and we have to deal with that issue. So there's unintended consequences of this great tool that's coming out and available. And we need to make sure we include parents in the process, parent voice and choice, polling them, and educators. Everybody's voice needs to be heard when we decide on these processes, so that we can make it fair and just for everybody. And then we just have to follow up.
Thank you. Next, candidate Buffette, how do you think artificial intelligence will impact the education of our students?
It's going to impact it tremendously. AI is inevitable. I actually had the pleasure of attending the California School Board Association conference, where the founder of Khan Academy had indicated how much AI will really reshape Khan Academy. It's going to be an adaptive learning tool where students can actually interact with the product. It'll learn the students' strengths and weaknesses, work to develop curriculum around that. So it's going to be very personalized in that sense. I'm actually really excited to using some of those tools. I think a big part of AI and the fear mongering that comes around it is, it's an unknown world in the future. I think what's really important with school districts is finding out how we best prepare our students to be successful in that world. How do we get them to understand how to develop and write queries that actually are able to utilize and get the best out of AI systems and programs? How do we get them skills and training around jobs that'll get them to be successful in a world with AI? That's how we need to approach situations like that, not to be fearful of them.
Thank you. And let's hear next from candidate Brooklyn Carrillo on how you think AI will impact the education of our students.
Thank you. Yeah, AI is a huge threat to public education. It's a huge threat to student learning. It's a threat to jobs. It furthers the digital divide. Students that have access to the internet, have access to tools, now have an unfair advantage against those that don't. There are examples on our campuses where teachers on their own have gone out and actually found AI tools that they can use to detect AI. So portals where students can upload data and it can detect the likelihood that this is false information that was generated electronically. When we talk about AI, I also feel we should talk about cybersecurity and ransomware attacks that have been happening in local governance. We need to talk about cell phone usage. I know Newsom just signed some legislation, which means this coming school board will be deciding what cell phone usage looks like in our school community. It also poses a huge threat to candidates that are running for office who can use ChatGPT and AI to, I ran out of time. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you to all the candidates for so many thoughtful answers to the questions and keeping on track and putting up with me forgetting to unmute. But let's now turn to closing statements from each of you. Those will be timed as well. I believe there are 2 minutes for each statement, and we will do it in the opposite order from the opening statements. So let me go back to then having candidate Buffetti start with his closing statement.
Most definitely. I just, again, thank you for the League of Women Voters, and thank you for everyone that's participated to make this happen. I think it's so important to really get good information in front of the voters so they can make a quality decision in this election. Again, you have 3 votes, and I hope I'm going to be one of those votes. I'm someone who's bringing experience to this board, somebody who brings leadership, somebody who is, again, a proud product of these schools. It is so important to have somebody in this seat that knows what it's like to sit in those chairs, to read those books, to be in these schools, and really empathize with our students in that sense. There's nobody else that can bring that student perspective that I can. Other things that make me unique is that I'm the only candidate that's endorsed by both labor and the Chamber of Commerce. Those are 2 sectors that have, again, believe in my leadership ability to really bring different sectors of our community together. I'm the only person that's endorsed by Congressman Swalwell, as well as our Hayward Mayor, Mark Salinas. Again, these leaders in our community that have put their names behind mine and said that I'm going to be a quality, a re-elected individual for this board. When you elect somebody, you want to have good governance on this board. People that understand what it's like to set policy, to set vision, and then to also lead in a way where they are able to utilize the different levers in the district to achieve things they can. I'm very proud to say that I believe I've learned those levers, and I've learned how to use that. I've been able to start the very first Asian American parent group here at Hayward Unified School District. I was able to create a backpack giveaway at our school district that has blown up and that everybody in our community has hopped onto. There's many other things that I have. Those are just the 2 things I'm most proud of. But if you need something done, I can do it, and it's already proven. So I hope you consider me for the election, and I want to thank everyone and all the candidates tonight. I think it is very admirable to put your time away and really volunteer to participate in these forums and everything that's associated with campaigning. Thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you, candidate Buffetti. We'll next hear from candidate Kelly in closing.
I'm endorsed by people you know. I'm endorsed by the Building and Constructions Trade Council of Alameda County. I'm endorsed by Alameda County Supervisor Elisa Marquez. I'm endorsed by Mayor Mark Salinas. I'm endorsed by the entire Hayward City Council, except for 1 member. I am endorsed by Alameda County Office of Education Trustee Aisha Knowles. I am endorsed by Hayward School Board Trustee Peter Buffette, Dr. April Okinda, and Ken Rowden, and a host of many other educational leaders and community leaders in Hayward. And here's why. It's because I firmly believe and support an equitable learning experience for all school district students that emphasizes that the district is committed to equitably addressing the specific needs of each student population. This means training our highly qualified staff about the complexities that challenge our students' academic performance and social development, and then make sure the staff has the resources in the classroom to address those concerns. This means supporting our K through 5 learners so that they continue to make academic progress that reaffirms the parental and community trust in the district. And this is very important to me. We have to show our students that access to diversified support in the district is not only something talked about, but it's also something that's executed. And we must show them this by allowing our school board to reflect the diversity of our student population, particularly for those populations that have been disproportionately experiencing disengagement challenges and low academic achievement. I believe in our district. I am a product of Hayward educational institutions, and having graduated from both Chabot College and CSU East Bay, I am a parent of a student who attends schools in the district, and if elected, I plan to collectively work with all trustees to continue to make Hayward schools safe, equitable, and achievement driven. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, candidate Kelly. Let's hear next on closing from candidate Bruckner Carrillo.
Okay, I want to just really thank the League for the work that you do across our county to champion civic engagement, to uplift opportunities for folks to get involved in local government. Hayward Unified School District has a lot of work to do in terms of how do we serve and engage our students and families? How do we make sure that we are listening to the experts, our educators, and folks that are in the classroom every single day? What we didn't talk about tonight is school financing. School financing across the board is bleak. There are cuts on the horizon. Hayward Unified School District traditionally operates in a communication silo or a vacuum. That cannot occur. There are painful cuts ahead, and if we don't listen to our staff, if we don't listen to our parents, if we don't listen to our community, if we're not spending wisely, that is a failure to our students and to our community. Hayward Unified School District in the last year, they've put a bond measure on the ballot for $550 million, and they didn't engage our partners in labor. They didn't engage the folks that are going to work in these buildings. And in doing so, we lost out on the opportunity to leverage free federal and state matching funds. There was a districting process that lacked, in my opinion, a robust community engagement opportunity. And recently, we've created a situation where we overpaid some of our lowest paid staff members. There's a lot of work to do in our district. I'm proud to be the only candidate supported by the entirety of organized labor, including our teachers. I'm proud to be the only candidate in this race supported by the entirety of the Democratic clubs and organizations that have weighed in thus far, both county supervisors, both state legislators, as well as representatives on every community college district in this county. I am proud of my work. Over 10 years working in local and state government. I'd be honored to have your vote. ABC, the number 4, HUSD.com.
Thank you, candidate Bruckner Carrillo. So let's hear then next from, I think that leaves us with candidate Jauregui. Closing.
Okay, thank you very much for this evening. I appreciate it. I'm going to close with the parent perspective, but I'm also enveloping in that the fact that I am the voice of balance. So I've worked inside, I've worked outside. I've been a parent who was not so happy at times, and now I'm a parent who sees it another way. But I also understand the parents who are not so happy at times, and I understand what they want, and I understand the whole process in all the years that my kids have been in the district, one's in middle school and one's in elementary school, I have my lived experiences, and I want to bring justice to the fold. And I want justice for parents. I want justice for our students. I want justice for our teachers and our staff. I want to have that voice of balance so that we could all start to get along and be happier, so that our students can achieve success. It's all about them. It's not about backbiting. It's not about tu culpa, tu culpa. That's, for those who don't know, is your fault and your fault. No more finger pointing. Let's get this done for our students. It's not about what somebody didn't do well enough. It's more about how are we going to fix it. There's a community member I just met on Saturday. She said to me, you got to be the change you want to see in the system. So I invite everybody to join with me in being the change we want to see in the community. Parents want procedural justice. They want restorative justice. They want intersectionality. They want to all those voices and all those systemic oppressions and experiences included in the decision-making process. We want campus safety, transparency, and legitimacy. We want all of that. I want to support our teachers, our parents, our students' voice and choice all around. I want to be the voice of balance for you.
Thank you, candidate Jauregui, and thanks to all of our candidates for all of your insights and patience with us today as we went through some glitches in the video on my part, but really can't thank you all enough for your thoughtfulness and civility, and wish all of you good luck on the upcoming election. I'd like to also thank Liz Cedillos for all her help with the translations and interpretation. My other fellow League of Women Voters from Eden area, Shalini and Sarah, for helping me out tonight. And also just wanted to remind everyone that of the website in terms of making sure that your ballots, your voter registration is up to date. The League of Women Voters has at vote411.org/California all the information on our California ballots, measures, pros and cons, how to find out where you're registered, where your precinct is. We'd also like to encourage everyone on the call and in the audience, that the League is always looking for other volunteers and new people to come in. We welcome you all. I've been doing it for the last, 5 or 6 years, and I just find it a tremendous learning experience. I learned so much from all of you tonight. So thank you. And I also want to mention that we had so many more questions when I heard the comment about, not getting to this or that. If you saw me looking around, it was because I was looking at over 50 questions that we received. So it was really encouraging to get so many questions from members of the community and our other League chapters in getting this together. So thanks all of you for helping make this so successful. I hope our audience feels the same way, or at least in part, and learned a lot from the candidates. Their statements will be available. These recording will be available again. If you weren't able to see it all or missed a part of it, or have friends who just couldn't make it, you can let them know. This will also be available shortly, I believe through YouTube, but the information will certainly be posted on the League's website. So thank you all again, and I hope I didn't forget something, but at least I'm not on mute. So thanks again, and good night to everyone.
Thank you.